Hey everyone. Well, I missed seeing you at the 9:15 minyan, but I'm happy to have this opportunity to share some thoughts with you, and I hope to see you all soon in person. If you've been to summer camp, you may have had the same experience that I had, which is that the scariest person in summer camp is the head lifeguard. See, normally the head lifeguard comes in the first day, and his job is to scare the living daylights out of all the campers. If I catch you down by the waterfront without supervision, without permission, then you are going to be on the first taxi home. You know, if I blow my whistle and you don't have a buddy within 3 seconds, then you're going to be suspended. You know, they basically come in and they just want to scare the campers. So imagine that this rant, this talk is going on. It's the first day of camp. This head lifeguard, he's digging in, he's giving it to them. And then, all of a sudden, he stops and he says, but just by the way, you know, there were a bunch of campers who broke the rules last year, but I didn't do anything to them. So that would basically ruin the whole point of his whole speech. The whole point was to scare them, to get them to obey the rules, to do what they're supposed to do. And then he says, oh, but it doesn't really matter if you don't. We have a similar thing in this week's parsha. The parsha begins, Atem Nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Hashem Elokeichem. Moshe says, you're all standing today before Hashem, your God. And Rashi quotes a medrash. The medrash says that what Moshe was telling them was at the end of last week's parsha, we had the tochacha, the rebuke, where Moshe lays into them, if you don't follow in Hashem's ways, then you're going to have plagues, you're going to have death, you're going to have exile, you're going to have all sorts of things. Says the medrash, Rashi quotes it, Moshe says, you're all standing here today. Harbe hichastem l'makom. You angered God a lot, but He didn't destroy you. Look, you're all here today, so don't worry so much. Right? The Medrash says he saw that they were so scared. He said, "Don't worry, you've angered God, and nothing has happened." And it's so perplexing. Like this, he ruined the whole thing. The whole point was to have them scared, to have them nervous, that they should know that they have to listen to the Torah. They have to follow God's ways. How could Moshe just come out and say that, don't worry, it doesn't really matter? So the Darchei Musar, the Yaakov Naiman, he quotes an idea from the Alter of Kelm. The Alter of Kelm raised a similar question with regards to Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is kind of this confusing enigmatic day. On the one hand, it's a yantif. The Torah says, we dress up in nice clothes, and we have a suda, we have a nice meal, it's a celebration, it's a yantif because, says the Torah, because we are confident that we're going to have a good judgment. On the other hand, the Gemara says we don't say Hallel on Rosh Hashanah. How can we say Hallel? It's a song of joy on a day where the book of death and the book of life is open before Hashem. It's a scary day. So how can we say Hallel? So which one is it? Is it a scary day, a serious day of judgment, or is it a day where we're confident that Hashem is going to make a miracle for us and that Hashem is going to judge us favorably? So the Alter from Kelm said that there's two different levels going on here. The confidence that we have in a good din, in a good judgment, that's for the people as a whole. As a nation, Hashem promises, I'm never going to destroy your nation. As a nation, we're confident that we're going to have a good judgment. As individuals, well, there we're on our own. As individuals, that's a whole different story. Each person has Sifrei Chaim, Sifrei Mesim, the book of life, the book of death open before them, and anything can happen. So Rabbi Yaakov Naiman says that was what Moshe Rabbeinu was telling them. It's true on an individual level, you have this tochacha, you have these warnings, but as a nation, he says, Atem Nitzavim hayom kulchem, you're all standing here together. If you're together as a nation you can be confident that you're going to have a good judgment, that Hashem is not going to destroy you. Look, as a nation you've angered God, but you're still here today. So the question is, how can we tap into that? Is there a way that as individuals we can tap into this promise of good judgment that we have as a nation? And the Alter from Kelm says that there is. The way that a person can tap into that is to make themselves essential to the people, to make themselves needed for the rabbim. If a person contributes to the community, is a giving person to the community, whether it's financially, whether it's through chizuk, through inspiring people, through putting together a shir and inviting others, through providing needs for other people, meals, or whatever it is. If we make ourselves essential to the klal, essential to the rabbim, so then we can tap into that promise that Hashem gives that for the rabbim, for the congregation, of a good judgment. So that's perhaps something for us to think about heading into Rosh Hashanah. How can we become an essential part of the community and tap into this advice of the Alter from Kelm for a way to be a part of the community, for a part of the good judgment of the community.